Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today. Hope you're all doing absolutely excellent. Today, we are talking about the Nintendo Switch 2. Got a lot of thoughts to share on this one, but I actually got to go to a midnight release to pick this bad boy up, which was really exciting because it hit me on the way there. I was like, dude, I haven't done this since 2013 with the Xbox One. A lot of us were robbed of that joy and that excitement with the PS5 and the Series X and S, where it just arrived in the mail on launch day. And I mean, that's cool and that's convenient, but that excitement online is just something I live for, dude. And I realized the last time I was at just a midnight launch in general was like 3 years ago with this game, and this was really disappointing to go home with, as many of us know at launch how broken Pokemon Scarlet and Violet were. So it was just really great to be out there with the people, waiting online, talking about what games we're going to play, what we're looking forward to, all that good stuff. But I apologize that this is a few days late compared to everyone else putting out their impressions. I really wanted to take my time and just go through the experience, and like I kind of did with Oblivion Remastered, like enjoy it just as a player first and foremost, and then deliver my impressions, even if we lose a little bit of views on it. I think it's just important to kind of have that angle and have that time for yourself. So I'm here to talk about the system itself, but also I have a nice little stack of games here next to me, also some digital ones that I'll talk about, but we have a lot of games to talk about too. I kind of went around the wheelhouse of course, the launch games and some Switch 2 SKUs, but also free updates, back compat, without updates, and just wanted to get a feel of what this system was doing. And overall, it's really checking out on what I wanted out of the system. As I've been saying for about 3 years now, the main thing I wanted out of a Switch successor was just more power so I could play my backlog, like truly. And I know that's not everybody, but I am a weird Nintendo fan where like Mario Kart World, as I'll talk about, like I was like, yeah, it's Mario Kart. Like I don't get hype on Mario and Zelda. I was like the weird Nintendo fan playing like Naruto Clash of Ninja on my GameCube. Like I know I'm in like a different ballpark with all of that stuff. So for me, I was really just buying this purely for my backlog, and I've been really happy on that front. But we'll talk about Mario Kart World, we'll talk about Cyberpunk, we'll talk about all these different games, plus the system itself. So if you're new here and you're into what's going on with Nintendo, we'll be talking about them a lot more. And I will have a more dedicated review style video for Mario Kart World next week. So keep an eye out for that, but consider subscribing. Okay, so let's talk about the system itself real quickly. Just up front, haven't used the mouse functionality here at home yet because I haven't played any games where I felt it was really necessary outside of Cyberpunk, but the controller's been doing it for me. When it comes to the Switch 2, however, I feel like the best takeaway I have right now is as I was going around third party, I went, okay, good. This doesn't feel like a bad option anymore. I discussed this a bit in my Switch 2 preview video where I went hands-on for 4 hours with it. I feel like the stinky Switch moniker might start to get wiped away, at least for a few years with the Switch 2, where if someone went to me and went, I'm actually going to be getting this third-party game on Switch 2, I wouldn't be like, oh, that's such a grand sacrifice. It feels like a lot of the sacrifices, at least with my current library of games, has been wiped away. And this is with a lot of games not even patched up to be running on Switch 2 and taking full advantage of the hardware, as I'll talk about in a little bit. The 4K imagery, things like that. Nintendo behind on time, so I'm not going to overhype it, but just goes a long way. And just having games with actual sharpness, where I avoid playing Switch games docked like the plague, but now, not that bad. eShop and download times tremendously improved. Not only just navigating the eShop, which used to lag all the time. Like I'm talking, I got like PS3, PSN vibes from that eShop. Maybe not that bad, but you get the gist of like feeling like everything's just gradually loading in. Now I was just scrolling the shop, taking my time, perusing, looking for an impulsive decision to make. But yeah, that combined with the download times, huge improvement there. I played a bit in handheld. Most of my time has been in dock, but handheld's really comfortable. I will say I will be on the lookout for the Hori accessories. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, I mean things like these, like much bigger controller-like Joy-Cons that fit my hands. The Switch 2 is a little bit heavier and it's a little bit wider, and so it does put that new pressure kind of inside this area here. And since there's no like grip where you're resting kind of that part of your hand muscle, I could see over time this being not the greatest handheld option for me compared to like my Steam Deck, but nonetheless, it's a sturdy device for sure, much bigger and heftier than the Switch 1, but my handheld time has been admittedly limited, but also I'm, like I said, waiting for third-party accessory manufacturers to get on top of it. It also came packed in with the little controller that you can attach your Joy-Cons to, and definitely an improvement from the first one, but I'm using my Pro controller from the first Switch, so I immediately put that thing to the side. I was like, if someone comes over, they get to use that one. If you don't mind me just being an absolute game collecting dork for a moment here, the package spines have won my heart. The fact that they actually have designs on them and it's not just like the constant red from the Switch 1, really nice. I hope that keeps up. But yeah, those are just some general thoughts on the systems. Let's talk about the games. Let's open up with Mario Kart World. Now, I bought this for $80. I did not get the pack-in, so it was not a $50 game for me. It was an $80 game. For the record, not a die-hard Mario Kart fan, but there's few kart racers, if any at all, better than Mario Kart. Right now, where I am with the game is a little bit in the middle. A lot of my excitement for the game was really lying in the open world. And if I were to describe this Mario Kart game, it would kind of be in the similar vein of even Mario games I enjoyed in the Switch 1 generation, like Mario Golf, but also ones I didn't really like, such as the Strikers soccer game that came out on Switch. Both these games were kind of skeletons that Nintendo added onto as the years went on. Now, Mario Kart World is full of enough content to keep you pretty busy. There's the Grand Prix, there's the Knockout Tour, there's the free roam mode, and then there's multiplayer. I'll get into each of these in a moment, but what I'll say is that I see here the same sort of skeleton slash template where this is your Mario Kart for 8 years and you can buy it now and just watch as they fill it out with mode after mode and map after map, or you can wait it out until those updates come, likely for free, with Switch Online. But I know everyone has their own little angle on Mario Kart World because, again, kind of like what we saw with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, you buy one, then you get the Switch Online subscription service, and it like doubles your game size immediately. Right now, just looking at it as what it is, I do enjoy Grand Prix, classic Mario Kart. That's some good stuff. Knockout Tour is where the game really thrives, although I feel like if you get really far ahead in that mode, which is possible, especially if you know how to utilize the wall riding and the grinding and the boosting, this game you can just kind of get away and just chill for the rest of the race, which I don't think is true Mario Kart. And then the free roam was where I was most excited. This has activities you can do in the little power blocks. You drive into them, and there are little challenges all throughout the map. Things like driving through a bunch of rings or going through hay barrels and like collecting all the coins. Just little collectathon things here or there. They're not marked on the map, so you have to find them yourself, which normally I'm big on not marking things on the map, but I feel like the game would be better off if you could just kind of gradually check off and complete each zone as you please. They do have secret little question mark blocks that if you hit those gradually progress throughout the zone. There are Peach medallion coins that you can also pick up in the free roam. That's kind of it. And I was a little upset with the free roam, more so because I was hoping it would be maybe a little Forza Horizon coded, but I also see just a lot of potential in it, which is how I felt about like Mario Golf and how I felt about the Mario soccer game. I was like, yeah, I see like if they add a lot here, this is going to be fantastic. So I think about like a career mode. That seems like a no-brainer for a Mario Kart open world game, a career mode and going through an entire story. Like, I think that would be amazing. I also just think of like more challenges they can add, more completionist activities that they can add here. Some of these are really challenging and fun. Like there was one I was stuck on for a while called an endurance test in the wasteland. And I was at it for probably like 30 minutes. I just kept barely failing. And there was that level of mastery and like, oh, okay, I know when I have to activate my boost and kind of learning that route. And so you find a lot of depth in the map. I was also impressed in this game that each lap is not like reusing parts of the map as you go in a cycle. Like you're going to completely different and new parts of the map, and it's like one continuous track. I just thought, again, that was really tremendous stuff there. The wall riding and the grinding has a lot of depth to it as well. I feel like there's a lot of tech here that huge Mario Kart fans are going to love because you can really like recover from a race really quickly. It also means that if you're really good at this game, you can pull ahead severely to someone who maybe, as you see in some of my gameplay when I first started off, is playing it like Mario Kart 8, like using the boost pads on the ground, drifting around my corners. They have evolved the gameplay formula a lot. So Mario Kart World is a lot of fun to play. $80 fun. As always, that's going to be up to you, and you have to take in more reviews than ever before to make that purchasing decision. Like, it was already tough to commit to a $70 game or a $60 game. Now you're talking $80. It has to really speak to your taste, and it can't just come down to any one single reviewer. For me, as someone who's not a diehard Mario Kart fan and is not a fan of $80 video games, I definitely could see myself being happier if I got this as the $50 pack-in, is how I'll put it. I'll share more in a dedicated video, but Mario Kart World has been a solid time, but I'm also not like a huge Nintendo head, so take that into account as well. Where I've really been spending most of my time, and have been loving my Switch 2, is in back compat. One of the other games that broke my back were the Warriors games when it came to the Switch. In particular, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity was a game that I was really excited for. I picked it up, and much like a Pokemon Scarlet, Pokemon Violet moment, I played up until the second chapter, and I went, yeah, Switch 2, I'll see you whenever, and I'll play you then. Now, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity did not get any sort of next-gen update. For those who don't know, this game on the original Switch ran terribly, stuttered often, and also had long loading times. All of that is gone without a next-gen update here. So it looks a little bit fuzzy in some of the imagery, acceptable enough. It is a Warriors game, so there's a lot of action and VFX on screen that are kind of distracting your eye enough where I'm not really paying attention to some of like the blurry textures and whatnot. But Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity is an immense, more stable improvement just via back compat. That is what I was really hoping for at the end of the day. So to know that this hasn't even packed in an update that could push it even further really shows that this system can get your backlog going, which is, again, what I was here for. If I were really brutally honest about it all, though, this launch does have, to me, a little bit of Xbox Series X energy. Xbox Series X, for me, was really exciting because of back compat. The difference between what Nintendo's doing and what Series X was doing was Series X, like a lot of games, felt very far away. It really wasn't until like 2021, in the middle of that year, that things started to get going. But by that point, like PlayStation already had like 3 or 4 great exclusives to play. So with Nintendo, at least I have Mario Kart World. Next month, I have Donkey Kong. We know in October, there's Pokemon Legends. We're still waiting on a Metroid Prime release date. Like, there's going to be a lot to play. So I'm more excited that back compat's working out for me to fill out that kind of dead time. So yeah, Age of Calamity was awesome. I went to another game that I adored on my Switch, and that was TMNT Splintered Fate, my favorite Ninja Turtle game. Now, this game, when I reviewed it on Switch, you'll see it in some of my review footage from Retro Rebound. Whenever a new wave started up or when you went to get new power-ups, the game lagged. It stuttered. The load times were also kind of long in certain instances. All that is gone in TMNT Splintered Fate. Now, this game has since been ported to like PS5 and Xbox soon, as well as PC, and it looks a lot sharper there. So this is another example of like, it's much more stable and you're not getting those stutters, but also it doesn't look as good as other systems until they take full advantage of the next-gen hardware and, you know, update the resolution, update the visuals, that sort of thing. Still, I went on a full run with this game, no problems at all, no crashing either, and like that was fantastic for me. I was really in a happy place with this game where I was like, man, sweet. Like, again, no compromises, which is what I think Switch 1, by the way, out the gate felt like. So Switch 2, I know eventually its limits are going to be tested as this generation goes on, but so far out the gate, just been really happy with back compat. Another example, this one, a free update. So this is an example of a game that actually had the Switch 2 hardware and is taking advantage of it and transforming what it was when it launched on Switch 1 versus where it's at on Switch 2. We did a whole dedicated retrospective to it over on Retro Rebound if you want like 18 minutes of thoughts on the game as a whole, but that's Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. This is the game that really broke my heart, man. I am not a Pokemon diehard because, you know me, I'm a Mega Man Battle Network stan, of course, so that robbed me from Pokemon, but Pokemon still has a place in my heart. It's a cozy place, and it's not my favorite series, but when it hits, like Pokemon Legends Arceus, no matter how ugly a sin that game is. And Pokemon Scarlet and Violet was like the most technically distracting game I've played in my life outside of probably Fallout 76. Just everything from the LODs to the texture quality, broken or ugly. Like the game even lacked self-awareness at times where they were like calling out, look how beautiful and big this world is. And you see these muddied terrain textures. I'm like, dude, holy smokes. This thing, like, it was distractingly ugly is what I called it. So Nintendo updated it. It updated the frame rate. It updated the resolution. It has much quicker load times now, but also they skimped out on some things, as I talked about in that video. Things like some textures are not up-resed and they look really bad. The general way they use terrain and how they decorated, say, terrain still looks awful. This is still a very bad-looking video game, but the character models and the Pokemon have benefited from this resolution update a lot. Also, the world loads in at a greater distance. And so this doesn't feel like Pokemon are loading in right in front of you, or grass is even loading in right in front of you, or characters walking the distance, or like the LODs are broken. Like, all of that has been tuned up. So it's still an ugly video game, but it's not an ugly, distracting video game. So I've been enjoying playing it now, reluctantly, might I add. But this was like the main game I wanted to play on my Switch too. Like, when I saw that on the update list, I was like, oh, I'm locking it in. Like, this was the one I wanted to play, and I wanted updated badly. I do wish they went a little bit further with it and just made this game much prettier. But this has been the Pokemon experience for all of these games. They just look terrible. Last game I want to talk about is Cyberpunk 2077. Didn't get to capture footage on this because I was mostly playing it in handheld, but the one time I did try to play it docked, one of the benefits of Switch 2 is taking advantage of HDR. Now, all these games I played, HDR was fine, no issues at all. Cyberpunk 2077 was the only time, and I don't know, I've tried to troubleshoot it and look online, so don't run a mile with this, but I'm just putting it out there. Cyberpunk 2077 was the only game that had HDR issues on my TV. It was coming through differently on my capture software, where it looked like it was activated, so it might just be like a bad handshake somewhere. It might just not be able to run through the capture software, but every other game was fine in that instance. Still, Cyberpunk looked really washed out on my TV, so that's why I went to handheld and played it there, and I enjoyed it a lot over there. It is really cool to have this version of Cyberpunk 2077, which, by the way, we'll talk about it like sometime in the coming week. It's getting more updates, and we have details in the sequel. Like, I'm so excited about this. But I picked this up because there was some real wizardry being done with The Witcher 3 on Switch, which I've heard is even better on Switch 2 now. And so to look at Cyberpunk, I'm like, dude, hold on. Like, look at this. The fact that this peak fiction is on, like, this little cartridge, knowing just, I'm dropping it. Knowing how big this game is and just how much of it fits on this. Same thing with The Witcher. I'm like, how? Like, how do you do that? So, of course, CD Projekt Red, really good with the complete box experience, like, put stuff on the inside. So that's the main reason I picked it up. And honestly, I've had a lot of buddies around me who have been playing Cyberpunk, and I'm like, yeah, it's time to do, like, a start-to-finish, ground-up run in Cyberpunk, you know, with Phantom Liberty and everything combined. But yeah, I still think turning off motion blur in Cyberpunk 2077 is the play, because otherwise it does just look a little bit blurry, in particular when I played it in dock during my preview event. But that's also been running well and is a good sign, because Cyberpunk is one of those tech pusher kind of games. So it shows that the Switch can run these PS4, Xbox One level games in a way that's, I mean, better than when it launched on the PS4 and Xbox One. So a good sign there, in my opinion, because I think the PS4 and Xbox One visuals are plenty great. I know a lot of developers want to push beyond that, and that's cool and all. It's just, you know, like, I think there's a point where we're kind of just, it's a redundant task to just keep pushing and keep pushing. So nonetheless, all these games have been panning out for me pretty well in different ways. I would definitely say, as a launch title, Mario Kart World has underwhelmed me slightly. I'm way more excited for Donkey Kong, way more excited for Metroid Prime, and way more excited for Pokemon Legends. So that's really what I'm hanging on to, especially when we're thinking $80 here. But nonetheless, just wanted to share some thoughts on the Switch 2 and my time with it thus far. Have you been playing it? Let me know your thoughts down below. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Other than that, I'll catch you in the next video. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.